Turns out it's time to introduce the 71 El Camino project, or the Black El Camino. This car actually used to be quite a bit rougher and will eventually be a big block car. This is another one of the longer term projects. He's actually done quite a bit of the body work already, and even has a temporary fun stripe on the primer. Hasn't done inside the bed or inside the pirate's chest down there, but yeah, this is another pretty nice car. Runs, drives, I mean, what more do you want? But like I said, this will eventually be a big block car. Now we'll do suspension upgrades and, you know, clean it all up. The interior will get some work. It's actually not terrible. I know it's not gonna present as well as you would think, but it is not terrible in there, you know, and nothing like oh, I'm trying to remember what Vice Grip Garage calls it, but basically the nice Repair-O-Matic here. But no, this is also a car that we've been converting to floor, and it's in here now because we think that the bolt on the chrome has slid. He's having a hard time getting it in gear, so we're gonna monkey with that. Oh, yep, he wanted me to point out new door panels, although, you know, still got some of that Fix-O-Matic on the handles. But here, let's go ask Harlan what's all been done to this car that we never filmed, although it's been here for years. So what did we do?
A gallon of Bondo. We put a different engine in it.
I seem to remember doing that.
Exhaust.
Yeah, some exhaust work.
Yeah, put different seats in it from Grand Prix.
And now you just got to recover them.
Floor console.
And a floor console. Yes, and the tilt. But yeah. Oh, you got to teach your wife how to do upholstery. That'd be great. Think of the time and hassle you'd save there. That's what Kevin did. He taught his wife how to do upholstery. But nope. So this is gonna go up, and you know, there's a lot to do on her yet. But like I said, it is a running, driving car. He enjoys it. He has a good time in it. So we will continue working on it until it's time for this car to actually get well, I'm not sure what you would call it, because they're never finished, so you can't ever say finished. You know, no hot rod's ever finished. But yeah, so this is the intro for the 71 El Camino project. Okay, so I just popped that off. We happen to know it's in neutral right now, and I can, so there's park, reverse, neutral. Now what we're going to do is bring the car back down with this off, and we're going to readjust to get our neutral. So here you can see car isn't perfect yet. There's a lot of work to do, but overall for Minnesota, remember we're in Minnesota, this is not a bad place to start a project. The rust just isn't too bad, you know, and this is all, you can just buy that. It's all available. None of this has to be made from scratch. None of it's as hard to change as things like, oh, I don't know, a 53 Henry J or something, where everything's impossible to get. So for a project in Minnesota, this is a pretty good place to start. This is not a bad place to start. The best part being, it does run and drive. And this motor is one, I'm trying to remember what we took it out of, but it runs great. It's actually a pretty good placeholder. Which one? Oh, this is the one from the mud truck. That's right. This thing had mud everywhere. Gotta tell you, it sure runs great. Okay, got that set up on a tripod. I'm gonna grab a light. I've got a few wrenches, and let's see if we can figure out what's going on. reverse isn't quite lining up where I want it. So, I'll loosen the neck up here again. Like I said before, the problem once you got 15 degrees of adjustability is finding the compromise between everybody and using the right wrench. This is so much easier before the console was on. Apparently we didn't do as good a job of figuring that out then. Reverse, neutral. Now that we've tightened that bottom and it rides better, I think we're going to pick the car up and redo the bottom on neutral right now. So we're going to go ahead and turn you off real quick, or push that red button, and we'll be back in a minute. Is there a red button or an off button? Okay. Just like on the red car, we're playing linkage games. This isn't a permanent solution. We're seeing if this gets us what we need with the bracket we have, with the shifter we have, because we don't have the same one we put in the red car, you know, the 72. I'd like to use a factory piece, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So if we do use the aftermarket piece, we'll wind up having to weld that on, because we do still want the reverse lockout, so that you got to be in park to get your key out. So we're about to put the car back down and kind of play with the shifter end and make sure what's going on. All right, he's going to start getting the welder set up, because here's what we're going to do. The factory stuff, in fact, I don't know why I'm not over there. The more factory style stuff and some of the aftermarket stuff just isn't the angle we want. So what we're going to do, you know, because see, when you see where it's all got to line up, it just almost, but it doesn't. So we can make it work with this and just weld one of those on there. So he's going to get the welder. I'm going to go over and clean off this plating, clean off some of the rust. We just got to line her up, clamp it, put a tack up there, a tack down there. It'll never go anywhere. Using the 78 as an impromptu welding jig, this should work out pretty nice. And there's our admittedly not gorgeous, but very strong and functional part. So we're going to put that in and see if everything works now. So now, car's back on the ground. I put that bracket on. It's in park. In theory, I should be able to pull the key now. Let's find out. Let's turn the light on. Make sure, yep, we're in park. So yep, I can recover the key, and she will bump. So neutral safety sees park. Alright, let's see what we get here. So reverse should be no start. Okay. Neutral. Maybe a little off. Wait. Yeah. Drive. Second. First. See, I'm a little off. So I'm going to adjust her back just a touch. And then I think we'll have it. So I didn't have to adjust it much. But now, in fact, for first time, I'm just going to leave the lock up. So park. Reverse. So see, that would be right there. Neutral. Drive. Second. First. And we'll cycle it a bunch of times to make sure that we're not sliding on that. Because I think you gotta be careful. Alright. So, between tightening this bolt here, which was loose for some reason, readjusting this, and getting a better profile down on the transmission, I think this is actually now going to work pretty nice. One of the problems with cars you don't drive very often is sometimes there's a noise you didn't hear before, and we hear a little tick. So we think we're going to go and pop these valve covers off and see what we see. just make sure, because I believe, I don't remember if it was this engine or another engine here, but at least one or two I recall having to deal with rockers that had backed off. So we're just going to pop this off and make sure that that's not what we're dealing with now. Okay, now what the heck is that?
Looks like a rivet.
It does look like some kind of rivet. I wonder what that came off of.
Is there anything like that on the car?
And is this, oh, is this some kind of jet for your nitrous or something?
No. Tank for the nitrous.
The exciting part on this side, of course, is you got to be careful around the alternator. I don't remember why we used these studs here, but we did. Probably because we had them. Come on, dude. There we go. Alright. Let's see what this side looks like. Remember, always careful around the alternator. That's gonna make some noise. That's gonna make some noise. Oh, God. Okay, let me show the people what we're dealing
The
with here.
people.
Now this engine was just running, and in the past has run well. See these? Boy, that's an awful lot of play for a hydraulic lifter motor. And before you start talking about bleed down and everything else, yeah, I got a feeling these lifters didn't even pump up. Because I'm not seeing any nuts back off the tire. That's our noise right there. So I think all our lifters are gumped up. So we're going to have to run some kerosene through her, clean them out. But yeah, got a suspicion that those aren't pumped up. Now, we do have oil, you can see in here, and it did run for, you know, what, 5-6 minutes? Something in that rate. Enough that we opened the door for a while. But yeah, that's going to make some noise. It's also going to cost you some power. So let's let her cool down. It's time to tell you what we're thinking and why we're thinking it. This engine sits a little bit, started getting a little clattery. We just pulled the valve covers, a lot of play in a lot of the rockers, so we're starting to think we might have some sticky lifters. So we put everything back. We're going to put some kerosene in there, or some sea foam, what you call it, snake oil, and we're going to see if hopefully over time that will kind of loosen some of those lifters up. You get that little spring and check ball on the bottom, and sometimes they don't pump up correctly. But yeah, the number 2 exhaust was the one we pulled and looked at, and there's no play in that lifter at all. Even if it was pumped up from running a couple hours ago, I would expect to be able to push down a little bit. It didn't look like we pulled all the rocker studs. They all look fine. So that's kind of where we're at. Is it's got to be a lifter problem, especially since it's on so many of them that there's no way I was going to believe that all the studs pulled or that all of the adjusters backed off. That's hard to believe. So that's where we're going to go with right now. So he's going to go ahead and add that, and we will come back in a minute. Okay, I know it's noisy. I just fired it up and we opened the door. You can see back there, it's cold outside. So we're waiting for her to warm up enough to come down. And then we're just going to we added a half a can of seafoam. So we're just going to kind of let that play. I can tell you already it's quieter, but that's probably because we tightened the loosest rocker up a little bit. This is when we'll be able to hear it. With the weird little noises we heard earlier and monkeying with all that, the way I hear it, this thing runs pretty good anyway. I bet it runs even better now. Well, I don't know that there's much more we're going to do on this tonight. That engine's way too hot to relash the valves right now. And honestly, I think I'd like to let him run the seafoam through the lifters a little longer than the 10 minutes that we've got. So on the upside, I mean, just that little bit of change made a giant difference. It's running just like it did before. So, knowing that this was once a mud truck, I'm sure you're always going to find things. So, it's not a permanent motor. This will eventually be a big block. and he's got quarters for it and stuff, but it's not that high up the list, and he just wants to drive it and have fun with it. So here, let me back up without running into anything. So that's probably going to wrap up today's 71 El Camino video. This has been another ShopRex approved video.